What's good? What's good? It's your man, Kill.
And I'm Dr. Roz.
Back for another episode of Marriage Exposed. Dr. Roz is about to teach.
I love teaching. So, guys, what I want to talk to you guys about today is what I call the double-headed sworded twins of abandonment and rejection. And what I mean by that is that so many people function in the chaos of abandonment and rejection, and they don't realize it. And so my point in saying this is that we have so many people that can't manage a relationship, and they have a hard time within their relationship, and they don't understand why they can't manage interpersonal relationships. And when I say relationships, I mean romantic relationships, friendships, even parental relationships. And so it's a struggle for them. And so my challenge is, here's the truth. Everybody goes through abandonment and rejection. Everybody does. But your coping mechanisms are what determine how you handle those abandonment and rejection issues, or your defense mechanisms. So people often ask me, and it's kind of crazy, people have asked me, Dr. Roz, why are you always so happy? Why are you always so joyful? Why do you always, even when in the midst of craziness, you still seem like you're okay? And what I have to say for that is because my coping mechanisms are what keep me okay. You know, I try to always think positive. I try to always think that there is another option. I try to always see the pros and cons of a situation. I know a lot of people that don't do that. And so, Kiel, have you ever met someone where people are just like, oh my God, he has a nasty attitude. She has a nasty attitude. Like, people don't want to be bothered with him?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not really that person has a nasty attitude. It's a defense mechanism. That's their way of trying to protect themselves. But so they don't even realize it sometimes.
Who is mean and nasty just can't be mean and nasty?
There's always a reason for everything that we do. And I don't think that people recognize that. But there is.
You just can't be crazy? Well, there's a reason for it.
There might be some biological components of why someone... I don't like to, as a psychologist, I don't like to say crazy.
I'm not a psychologist. I can say crazy.
But why someone might be experiencing emotional difficulties is what we like to say.
Emotional difficulties.
Yes. So like I have people all the time who are like, how do you meet people? How do you get in relationships? How do you get people to like you? What is it? What is it about you? How do you give off this thing that you love yourself? It's because you have to practice loving yourself. And so many times people don't know how to practice loving themselves. And they expect someone to love them when they have no idea how to love themselves. And what I mean by that is when you do not have a definitive idea of who you are. And so what makes you happy? What makes you sad? What makes you excited? Like, what are these things that you absolutely need for you to function in your life and be okay? When people don't know what those things are, they start doing all kinds of stuff to try to figure out what I like, what I don't like, what is this, what is that. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And so those people tend to look impulsive.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people that you tend to kind of push back for because they always have drama surrounding them. Have you met people like that?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. This is not, and if you've never met anyone, as Pastor Jenkins always said, you don't know who that person is, then look at yourself. But sometimes they're just people that just always get caught up in drama, and it's like, why do you always have drama? Like, this doesn't happen to anybody else but you. And what it is that people are running around in circles trying to create these different things in their life to try to feel something, and they don't necessarily know who they are. So when you don't have a definitive idea of who you are, you'll get caught up in doing a whole lot of stuff.
So, Dr. Roz,
yes.
How do you find out who you are?
Well, you have to spend time with yourself. And here's the thing, a lot of people don't want to spend time with themselves, yet they expect somebody else to want to spend time with them. If you don't want to be with you, why would anybody else want to spend time with you?
Now, when you say be with you, do you mean I'm just sitting in the house by myself? Like, what am I supposed to do? Have a conversation with myself?
Well, yes.
So be like, Kill, how do you feel today? I'm feeling actually pretty well. Who you got on the Who you got on the Eagles-Lions game next week? I mean, you want me
Not
to
like that.
Because then I would think that, what was your word for crazy? Emotional
difficulty.
Right. Then I think I'd be having emotional difficulty.
Yeah, you probably would.
What do you mean by spending time by yourself?
What I mean by that is looking at who you are, looking at the patterns of what you do, looking at your behavior.
Okay.
So if you keep falling out with people, you know, because there are some people that just fall out with everyone.
Yep.
You keep falling out with people, then you need to look at that individual situation that made you fall out with someone and look at what you did in the situation, because you can't argue by yourself. And it can't always be the other person's fault. You know, sometimes we have to take the responsibility of what we do. And sometimes we don't.
Right.
And so then we start functioning in that abandonment and rejection A&R.
So you just start dissing everybody. People just get cut off all the time.
Yeah, people start doing emotional cutoffs, which never work. You know, do you understand what that is?
No, I do not.
And an emotional cutoff is when you're just like, I ain't fooling with that person no more, and then you just stop dealing with them completely.
Okay.
Like you move on. The thing is, you never dealt with the situation. You never dealt with the anger. You never handled it appropriately. So that stress that you hold on one second, that stress that you didn't deal with in that relationship, you are sure to take it into another relationship.
Now, what if I have a friend who steals a record from me? I know he stole it, and I'm like, I don't fool with no thieves, so he can have it. Like the Bronx tell, I got him out of my life for cheap, and I emotionally cut him off. Why do I have to go to him to be like, blah 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 blah?
It's not so much. It's not so much that you have to go to that person, but sometimes you just can't. It's just not fair to just cut people off, because maybe he didn't steal it.
No, I know he stole it.
How do you know?
I saw. You know what I used to do? Pull out any CD. Pull out any CD over there. Just grab any one. What do you see written on it?
Your
my name.
Yeah.
This is my. I used to tag up my CDs, because you know what happened freshman year in college? I had 1 million CDs, and people would come over and they would borrow my CDs, and then when I go looking for them 2 months later, I'm like, where's my Illmatic? But everybody had Illmatic. So if I'm at your house, I can't be like, yo, Raj, you stole my CD. So I started tagging my name on everything. So now when I come to your house, now I remember who I let people borrow stuff. So if I see that on your table, I can be like, oh, that's mine. Thanks, Raj. I forgot you had this. But if I know I didn't let you hold this, and I come to your house and I see my CD sitting there, I know you stole it.
I got you. I hear what you're saying.
So
it's okay to have a conversation with this person. Listen.
Okay, but no, what I'm asking is, I've made up in my mind, I don't want to be your friend. But now, are you just saying?
Okay.
Are you just saying for my well-being, I should still go to have a conversation?
Because people have to learn how to deal with conflict, and that's the thing. People don't know how to manage conflict appropriately.
Okay.
So to do it appropriately, because you would want your daughter, when she's having a problem with someone, to go and talk to that person and say, you would tell her, I didn't like what you did, and so there we could be friends.
It depends on the situation. Now, if Naomi's in high school and she got a boyfriend and her best friend bangs her boyfriend, then I'm really not like, you don't really need to go talk to old girl and find out why she banged your boyfriend.
I'm not saying why. There's never a why in it.
But I guess
it's okay to let someone know, I didn't appreciate what you did, and because of that, I don't think that we should be friends anymore. And that's a plausible way to handle.
Right. But that 5-second soliloquy that you just gave me, how does that help me out? Just because I'm telling you that?
Yeah, well, it gives you when you're able to forgive people.
But me saying, I know you slept with my boyfriend and I no longer want to be friends with you, isn't me forgiving you.
Right,
that's just me telling you,
right,
I know what you did, don't think you slipped.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
When you're able to appropriately deal with the conflict, you're able to forgive easier. When you don't deal with it, then you carry the baggage around. You carry the hatred around.
Okay.
If you were able to get your last words out with, like, I don't deal with you, I don't fool with you, you're able to deal with that a little bit more than if you see her out and you see them together and you still haven't had your piece. You hadn't said your piece.
Okay.
Or you hadn't dealt with it. So it just helps you to forgive easier. And so sometimes we get ourselves in situations where we need to forgive people to move on, and we get stuck because we aren't able to forgive them. Or we get stuck because we're functioning in this A&R behavior and we're not able to move on.
What's A&R?
Abandonment and rejection. And we all experience it. It's just how you choose to cope with it. You know, and so some people have better coping mechanisms than others. And some people use better self-defense mechanisms than others. You know, and so if you have this nasty disposition, then you need to figure out and work those things out of why you have this nasty disposition. You know, what is causing you to be that way? If you're jealous because someone has done this, or you're jealous because someone has done that, then you need to figure out why are you jealous? Because at the end of the day, it still comes back to your inadequacies. And that's why people respond or behave in that way, because they're constantly trying to hide from their inadequacies.
I see you teaching. That's that PhD going to work, man.
That's what I do.
That's what she does.
That's why I'm Dr. Rob, man.
You just said.
I did. I said, yeah. That's like New York, right?
Yeah.
And my New York family, son.
Just stop while you were so
I know, I'm messing
far
it up, right?
Cool. So you got some jewels dropped on y'all today about the A&R, and not the artist and repertoire, the record label. This is the A&R of abandonment and rejection.
And I just want you to think about it. Yeah, just think about how things in your life may affect how you are functioning now. We don't do that. We just do, and we don't think about what we're doing. So just think about what you're doing sometimes and how you come off. And watch your body language.
Like Special Ed said, think about it.
I know Special Ed.
What he said?
I forgot, but I remember what he looked like.
What do you look like?
He was skinny, had a little fade, the brown skin, caramel skin. I know Special Ed. I know hip hop. Yeah. No.
The first thing anybody would probably say about Special Ed is he had curly hair. He was like,
yeah.
You
It
say
was
he
a
had
cutie.
fade. All right.
It was curly fade. It was high.
It's your man, Kill.
And I am Dr. Roz.
Marriage Exposed. Questions, comments, marriageexposed@gmail.com. Keep it locked.